What's up, everyone? Welcome to Sideline to Sideline. We got a full house tonight, as you can see. This is going to be what's that ESPN show where they do the little dink 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 with the points and stuff like that? Pardon the interruption, or I don't know. It's going to be something like that. But I got starting at the top, the Prince of Production, Kyle. In the middle, I got Guardy 3. He's not guarding a 1, he's guarding a 2. And I got Chase. We're going to call him KC Chase. We don't have a nickname for it yet, so we'll call him KC Chase.
I like it.
And you got the NFL genius, and you got me, THEEGODFREY, the Godfrey. So we got a ton to go over today. The NFL is busy. It's the witching hour. Who's going to make the playoffs? What seed are they going to be in? Who's injured? Who's walking off the field? Who's old as crap and is getting benched for the rest of their career? Patrick Mahomes having superhuman healing powers. So I don't know who or what we're going to go in this direction, but I do know we're going to talk football, and I do know it's just before Christmas. So, but we're going to have to put some coal on people's stockings though, because there are some POSs out there. So you know who we're talking about. We got your back this week, San Fran. Don't worry. Even though we got to
start with the benching though. We got to start with the benching. That's where we're starting.
Okay.
And listen, I had enough of this last night on Wire to Wire, and granted, we went off the rails a little bit talking about some other stuff, but I do not understand people's logic. And I'm just trying to understand from 4 more educated, intelligent sports fans. Guys, I'm going to ask you the same questions I asked last night. Kyle, I know you were in the chat last night, so I know you heard these questions. I'm going to ask you guys these same questions. Feel free to come off. Any one of y'all can answer them, right? When was the last game around? I don't need the date. When was the last game Michael Penix played in college?
Like January-ish?
Yeah, mid-January.
Yeah.
Mid-January. When did the Falcons know that they had the 8th overall pick?
February.
At minimum February, maybe earlier, January,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They signed Kirk Cousins on March 13th for 4 years, $180 million. Hey, listen, if you're in love with the quarterback, if you're in love with Michael Penix Jr., why are you signing a quarterback to $180 million? If your whole reasoning was, well, we loved him, we couldn't pass him up. Why are we signing a quarterback for $180 million? Oh, let's take another step forward. Let's take it another step forward. You loved him so much, but you let 7 teams pick before you? I've seen this time and time again. Hey, just checking, Mr. CR Media himself. When Patrick Mahomes was drafted, was that the Chiefs' original draft spot?
No, sir.
No, it wasn't. It was not. You know why it wasn't their original draft spot? Because Andy Reid said, I don't care, I have a quarterback on the roster. I love this quarterback. I'm drafting Patrick Mahomes. He traded up to get Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes wasn't projected to go top 10. He wasn't. I remember that draft. He went 1 pick. I think he went 1 pick ahead of Deshaun Watson.
He did. As soon as the Chiefs traded up, I looked at everybody around me and I said, "Here's Deshaun Watson, baby. He's a new Kansas City Chief." I go, they're about to pull the trigger, and then as soon as they announced Patrick LaVon Mahomes II, I said, "What are the Kansas City Chiefs doing?" Obviously, they knew more what they were doing than I did.
3 Super Bowls later, you have shut the hell up.
I did.
But when you know a player, when you understand a player is him, you trade up and draft for him. So these guys, there's a small faction of them, that were like, I liked what the Atlanta Falcons did by drafting Michael Penix Jr. at 8. And Cottrell was one of them. And I give him credit. He said that shit the next day.
He's lucky I wasn't in the chat. I must have missed that part of the show. He's lucky I was busy last night.
But he said this is why you draft Michael Penix Jr. at 8, because Kirk Cousins hasn't fully recovered from Achilles injury. I said, if you didn't think he fully recovered from the Achilles injury, then why did you give him $100 million guaranteed, $90 million in the first 2 years, and a $180 million contract? Why did you do that? If you didn't think if you thought he was didn't think he was recovered. Guys, I need to ask you guys around the horn, seriously, around the horn style. Anyone can go first. I don't care. Michael Penix Jr. starting a quarterback. What does this say? Is Atlanta a genius by drafting Michael Penix Jr.? Do you now agree with the pick? Kirk Cousins has played terrible. He has.
That's the one.
Well, I mean, whose decision was it to to start this to begin with. You know what? I love speaking in scenarios and in riddles. Our good friend Gene always says, marry the coach to the quarterback. Well, let's talk about marrying the coach to the quarterback. You married the coach to the quarterback when you signed Kirk Cousins to 100 and however million, however much it was. That's what you did. Or you can say you married the coach to the quarterback when they drafted Michael Penix Jr. at number 8. But here's what happened. The other one was the bridesmaids in the back pocket. Like, yeah, I'm going to get married, but on bachelor party night, I'm going to go make out with the bridesmaids, have a little bit of fun, and I'm going to keep that bridesmaid's number in my pocket just in case I want to come back to her. And that's exactly what's happened. Michael Penix Jr. has say what you want. I mean, I'm a prime example. The Kansas City Chiefs drafted Patrick Mahomes, number 10, and he sat his rookie year behind Alex Smith, and then it was off to the races after that. Maybe Atlanta thought they were going to do the same thing. I don't know. But it didn't make much sense to me. And the top 10 quarterbacks, there's not very many in history who haven't started number 1, but who haven't started their first year. But let's take a look at some of those ones that haven't started their first year and maybe see how they've done. I don't know. I don't like the decision. That's my stance on it. I feel like it was Atlanta's cop out of saying, hey, we're going to draft this young kid at number 8. And if he sucks, we'll lean on Kirk Cousins. And if Kirk Cousins sucks, we'll lean on Michael Penix Jr. Either way, we can wash, rinse, and repeat if these two guys don't work out.
Next year, you're going to have a $45 million backup. Brett, what are your thoughts on that?
Dude, this is
Brett,
I'm sorry, go ahead, Brett.
I
said bro.
No, it just feels like that they really thought that they were going to try to pull like an Alex Smith and Patrick Mahomes sort of thing, or just, the Rodgers and Love where, I'll sign this quarterback to a multi-year deal, but I'll draft the backup. I think your first out in the Kirk Cousins contract is 2 years from now.
2026.
Yeah, so I think the original plan is Penix sits until 2026. Kirk Cousins plays well until then we can, if it works out like they planned, I'm sure Penix was going to start in 2027, but they didn't plan for Kirk Cousins to have the mobility of an oak tree. His decision making has been off. I think this kind of originally was their plan. It was supposed to happen over a longer timeline, though. I still don't agree with the pick. I still don't like it. I think they needed help in other places. But overall, what the Falcons are doing is just absolutely weird, because now it's okay. Let's say Penix closes out the year strong. Do you go with the rookie, or like Gene just mentioned, are you going to run a $45 million backup quarterback?
And
they put themselves in an awkward spot.
Brett, there's no surprise why they did it this game. They're playing the Giants. They have the Giants, and then they have the Carolina Panthers, the last game of the season. Godfrey, I'm going to go to Kyle last on this because he's local to the area and he understands the situation probably better than all of us. Godfrey, your thoughts on the Falcons making the move from Kirk Cousins to Michael Penix Jr.?
I think this is a trash organization. I'm coming off the top rope like Macho Man Randy Savage right now, and they stink. I just want to read you a very quick quote, very easy, from the manager himself. He said, "If you believe in a quarterback, you have to take him," General Manager Terry Fontenot said. Right? Here's the thing about that. You can't have it both ways in this situation, and Gene is absolutely correct. You don't guarantee $100 million to a 36-year-old quarterback coming off of an Achilles injury who you have not seen perform, and he can't step on his plant foot and step into the throw. That's part of the problem here. The other part of the problem is, if you're going to do that, having a left-handed quarterback, which, oh, by the way, he's left-handed, take over for a right-handed quarterback, the offense runs a little bit differently, okay? So that's the other problem there, too. This GM should be absolutely fired. If I was a owner, I'd be like, you're fired for wasting $100 million, Okay. This is the reverse of the owner in draft day coming in. Like, how come you didn't draft Bo Callahan? You shouldn't have drafted that Bo Callahan here, because let me tell you something. Michael Penix may be good, he may not, but you damn sure better be right he is. And he better set the world on fire. And you're right, Gene. They're definitely trying to throw him some softballs, because I don't care, man. I don't care if you just hired a coach or not. They made some horrible moves. You don't often get a top 10 draft pick. You have to get an impact player for your team. You already have Bijan Robinson. You're going to waste now 2 years of his rookie contract. And you have allocated at least 10% of your cap to an older quarterback. So that was a stupid move. And you would have been better off just hitting the reset button. You know, the difference between that and the KC Chiefs is they had a plan in place. They were going to sit him, have him learn the offense, and have him kind of learn under Alex Smith, learn under Andy Reid, and not have to rush him into service here and kind of prove why he should be there, right? There's no plan here. They are flying by the seat of their ass, and it is just the most awful job. I was talking about this last week. Was I on the show last? I was on the show last week. Sorry, it's been a crazy couple weeks. I was talking about this last week, I believe. The Falcons are quietly making they're having one of the worst seasons ever as far as their offseason moves. They haven't. This offense should have been way better. And Michael Penix better be lighting the world on fire. But you got the receivers, you got the running back, you got offensive line, you got a good secondary. Yeah, they don't deserve to win this division. I don't think they will, because I think the team stinks. And I think it was built awful.
The one thing I kind of want to add on to what you said, though, is they signed a quarterback to a $180 million deal. Guys, I'm not trying to be that guy, but was Justin Fields not sitting out there for a 5th-round draft pick? If you wanted to draft Michael Penix Jr., if that was your plan all along, instead of using $180 million in resources, why wouldn't you trade a 5th-round pick? And if you wanted him for 2 years so you can sit, why just pick up Justin Fields' 5th-year option?
I don't get why people didn't trade for Justin Fields, especially in a Falcon situation, because you just pick up the option. If he sucks, you move on and you start Michael Penix. Justin Fields would have been perfect for them, because guess what? Here's the thing about Michael Penix. He doesn't run, guys. He's not a running quarterback. I don't know if everybody knows that or not.
Yeah, but he's elusive. And you got a flat-footed 35-year-old quarterback coming off an Achilles injury that's right-handed, that's slow. And now you're going to move the offense to a left-handed quarterback who's elusive. And listen, he might not run, but he scrambles. Michael Penix definitely moves in the pocket. I've watched him in Indiana. I've watched him play at Washington. He definitely is mobile. He's a lot more mobile than Kirk Cousins is.
Well, yeah.
And I'll tell you, Kyle, let me ask you a question real quick. You live in that organization. You live in that area.
Mm-hmm.
This is an organization where, do we really trust them? They drafted Kyle Pitts at 4, one of the worst draft picks you'll ever see. Drake London at 8. Say what you want about Drake London. If you think Drake London was worth a top 10 pick at wide receiver, that's fine. I don't agree with you. I think he's a jag. I think he's just another guy. But if you think he's great, fine. Bijan Robinson, a complete luxury pick in the top 10. And then Michael Penix Jr. as a top 10 draft. Do you trust this organization, Kyle?
No, because like you said, it's been luxury pick after luxury pick. Pitts, I knew they were going to take Pitts, because the way Atlanta operates is if there's a flashy toy that played in the SEC, they'll take him. And Pitts was the obvious one that year. The Penix one, I understood them taking a quarterback before signing Kirk Cousins, because that was obviously a position of need with Desmond Ridder being as bad as he was. So when they signed Kirk Cousins, I assumed what they were going to do is take, a developmental quarterback, mid-rounds, have them sit under Kirk, and then transition. When you take a guy 8th overall, he needs to start pretty soon. So if he needs to start soon, why bring in an established guy like Kirk Cousins and give him the money that they did? Now, obviously, they can move off of him in a couple of years, but it just speaks to how Atlanta kind of runs their stuff. It's just backwards. And I know what you're talking about, Drake London. At least that was a need. They needed a wide receiver. I understood that. Bijan Robinson, Tyler Algier just ran for 1,000 yards the year before. Why did you need Bijan Robinson? Obviously, Bijan's better, but they keep ignoring the legitimate problems they have on this team. This year, they should have drafted pass rushing. Have you seen their pass rush? One of the worst in the league, but they went and got a quarterback. When there were pass rushers there, they could have had. They thought by getting Matt Judon before the season that was going to solve things. Hasn't. And now you look at them, this is a division that they should have been running away with. And they're going to most likely lose it to a Bucs team with Baker Mayfield, which, say what you want about Baker Mayfield. And Chris Godwin, Mike Evans missed significant time this year. A lot of people thought they were done at that point. And Atlanta sat here, played with their food, and find themselves behind the Bucs now. And the crazy part is they swept the season series with the Bucs, and they might still lose the division.
I think when they got rid of Dimitrov, it was a mistake.
Well, the question that I have to ask you is this, Kyle. What's worth more to you, $100 million guaranteed over 2.5 seasons or a 5th-round draft pick? What's worth more? $110 million in salary cap is worth a lot more than a 5th-round draft pick.
Yeah.
I don't know why, in what world, if you were going to draft Michael Penix Jr., and if you loved Michael Penix Jr., why you wouldn't call Atlanta up and say, Chicago up and say, here's a 5th-rounder for Justin Fields. Yeah. If Justin Fields is the starting quarterback of the Atlanta Falcons this year, they are 11-3.
Yeah.
I don't understand what I'm watching. Kirk Cousins has been brutally awful the last few weeks, but to expect a 35-year-old quarterback to recover from an Achilles injury in one season when nobody recovers from an Achilles. How's Aaron Rodgers look this year? How's a 39-year-old quarterback recovering from an Achilles injury look?
Not great.
This is what happens.
I wonder what his Madden rating is.
Their Achilles. Dude, you know why people say when someone's worst weakness is that's their Achilles tendon? Do you want to know why people say that? It's a really important muscle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Remember,
especially for a pocket passer.
Lamar Jackson stuff, everybody thought Atlanta should have gotten more involved with the Lamar Jackson situation. They decided to take a step back on that too.
Does anybody
messing up along the way here?
Does anybody remember Raheem Morris's last head coaching gig?
No, what was that at, Chase? Help me out.
It was at the 2009 to 2011 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That team sucked. They couldn't. That team couldn't suck water through a hose. It sucks. Or I mean, it could suck an egg through a water hose. It sucks so bad. And Josh Freeman is their quarterback, and everybody was like, "Oh my God, Josh Freeman! He's a halfway decent guy." They had a halfway decent
Skip Bayless saying Josh Freeman will be a better quarterback than Cam Newton ever will be. I'm never.
Exactly. So, and the only reason that team was halfway decent was because Raheem Morris was a defensive guy.
Yep.
How did Raheem Morris get this job over guys like Eric Bieniemy? Does anybody know? Because Raheem Morris was the defensive coordinator of the Los Angeles Rams that went to the Super Bowl against the Cincinnati Bengals. It's the only reason he got this job. The only reason.
I don't think the head coach.
So again, like the mantra, the logo, the slogan of Wire to Wire Sports should be a cartoon face of the NFL genius with a speech bubble that says "Marry the coach to the quarterback." Because here we go again. We got a defensive guy. And you've got a top 10 pick. And you should have, if you were going to pay a 35-year-old backup quarterback $100-something million that just came off of Achilles injury, if that's what you were going to do, Arthur Blank, then you should have let Raheem Morris pick a defensive player in the top 8 players in the draft. But you didn't. Instead, you went with a quarterback. And now we're in this situation of like, oh, which way did he go? Which way did he go?
Chase, I want to ask you a question, and Kyle, you can answer this too because I know you're Atlanta guy. But like, how married do you think Raheem Morris, their general manager, and Arthur Blank are? Like, it seems like they're all playing 3 different games of dice.
They are.
Arthur Blank's
the only reason Raheem Morris got that job was because of the general manager.
So if the general manager gave Raheem Morris the job, then why wouldn't the general manager draft something to play towards his specialty? Guys, I'm sorry.
'Cause he
I'm
sucks.
just a guy. I'm just a guy on a podcast. That's all I am. I watch a lot of football. I'm not a professional general manager. I'm not a coach. I didn't play a high level of football. But my stupid self got on this show a year ago and said, this is a no-brainer. Atlanta needs to go out there and get Justin Fields. They can draft a quarterback to put behind him, and they can build their franchise up, whether it's with Justin Fields or with a quarterback that they draft behind him. I want
to be a GM. If they are having open, I will put in an application through LinkedIn for the Atlanta Falcons. Because listen,
as long as you don't fill it in with Crown, I'm sure you would probably get the job.
Yeah, because listen, when I look at their draft history, their last good draft pick was AJ Terrell in 2020. Every single first round draft pick, Bijan's good, Drake London okay, but like this guy doesn't really hit on draft picks like he needs to. I mean, I didn't think Dimitrov was a bad GM personally.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he made some mistakes here and there, but this guy I think is bad, man. Like there's no symmetry. Like for me, I don't dislike Raheem Morris, but it didn't make sense to me unless you were going to go with a defensive type of approach, right? And I thought, okay, well, that's weird that they drafted Michael Penix because they didn't, that's not a defensive, it's not an offensive coach. All right, you got a good OC, good. All right, we'll see what's up with that. But it just, I don't know, man. That they would be getting roasted if they weren't in Atlanta. Atlanta, I think. Tell me. You're a Boston fan, but you live in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fair weather city as far as sports. Phillies fans, we like to make fun of it all the time with the Braves.
They would never been. Oh my God.
But like that they're living undercover in Atlanta. This is probably a top 3 bad GM job. Legitimately, you could have stole Justin Fields like the Steelers did, and you fumbled the football there. That was one of the worst first round picks ever. And for that, they get what I like to call the Al Davis Award. I'm sorry, Al. I know you're an integral part in football, but man, you made some bad first round picks.
I love that, Godfrey.
Yeah, Demetrius Hayward Bay. I was at that draft, and the Raiders fans were like, I heard a collective groan of all 10 of them. They're like, oh my God, speed kills, baby. Speed kills, right? So very Al Davis-esque of this GM.
I got 2 things left, and then I'm done with this. Number one, that city, that football team is cursed. And do you know where the curse started?
Kansas City.
Where did the curse start for Atlanta?
28-3.
My man.
Well, yeah.
No matter what that football team
really
does,
broke this city.
I'm solely convinced. I don't care what that football team does. Since 28-3, I think they are legitimately cursed.
It's the curse of the Shanahans. Is that what it is?
Bro, I'm not kidding with you. I just looked it up just for fun. I want to read this out to you because I just think I'm only going to read you the first 3 rounds of picks. There's no one of value outside of Tyler Algier that was drafted later. But I just want to read this to you. This guy's got 4 drafts, okay? His first pick as a GM was Kyle Pitts, Richie Grant, Jalen Mayfield. Then he went Drake London in 2022, Arnold Ebic, I can't say his last name. You guys know who he is. Penn State guy. Troy Anderson, Desmond Get Rid of Her, D'Angelo Malone, Bijan Robinson, Matthew Bergeron. I thought he played hockey. Zach Harrison, Michael Penix Jr., Ruke Orhoro, Braylon Trice.
Yeah.
Guys, are you serious? Are you serious? I could have threw darts at a freaking dartboard. I could have sent College Cottrell down there to draft, and he would have done a better job. Are you serious? Who of note did I just read? And by the way, for anybody who thinks Drake London was a good pick at 8, I just want to remind you, number 10 was Garrett Wilson, number 11 was Chris Olave. I also want to remind you, Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith, and Jamar Chase went in the first round the year prior.
Yeah, well, listen, Kyle Pitts, the ultimate luxury pick, and I guess Brock Bowers is kind of proving me wrong here, but the ultimate luxury pick is a top 10 tight end. Top 10 tight end. Brock Bowers is having a really good season, but that is the outlier. I mean, Antonio Gates.
After they drafted Michael Mayer in the second round.
Yeah, I'm not. Well, I'm just saying as far as his production, I thought that was still an idiot pick.
Brock Bowers is such a great player.
Yeah,
Doesn't matter. They have 2 wins.
yeah,
They stink.
I agree.
Bad organizations do stupid things, guys. I
But
can't.
I'm just saying a tight end in a top 10 pick is a not a good move. I mean,
No.
some of your all-time greatest tight ends weren't even close to the first round. You know what I mean? It just
Second round, Kelsey, second round.
was Kelsey's second round pick. Are you sure?
He might have been third.
Might have been. Hold on.
I don't remember for sure.
I'll ahead.
My last point on this, and then I'm done with the Atlanta Falcons talk. Is at the time I didn't know it because I'm not a sports expert. I bring it back to my team, the Kansas City Chiefs, because that's who I know. And
Third round, by the way, third round.
I was massively offended. A lot of people in Kansas City were massively offended when Peyton Manning was looking for a new team, and Peyton Manning wouldn't even land his plane in Kansas City. I was massively offended. I didn't get it at the time. I do now. Obviously, the front office was a big, huge issue for him. And you go back to earlier this year and you look at the coaching carousel and what transpired. Guys like Bill Belichick wouldn't go to Atlanta.
Wonder why.
I mean,
I don't. I can't. I literally had a T-shirt that said "Trade for Fields, do the deal." I had a picture, everything. I got it custom made because it was so obvious what Atlanta should have did there.
He's a Georgia kid, right?
Yes.
Yep.
It's like it was the easiest move. And we were thinking they were trying to get a first or second round. They could have stole him for a 4th or 5th round pick.
I thought they were going to have to give a second and third up. I'm like, all right, well, that might be worth it for a quarterback. But we got to stop. We got to move forward. We got a lot to get into tonight. The Falcons are just, oh man. Listen, guys. Right now, I think I've had enough. I'm done. I'm about to walk off stage. I'm complete. I'm I don't want to go in a game. One of the guys is hurt. I don't want to go in a game. Are you kidding me, Devondre Campbell? We had a football player that quit in the middle of a football game. Is that real? I don't. Do you know the last time that happened? And they didn't retire. Like they still want to play football. They want to be cut so they can go play for another team. Do you remember the last time that happened? Does anybody remember the last time that happened?
Antonio Brown.
Antonio Brown, you're right. I apologize.
Or Vontae Davis.
Vontae Davis was what he retired at halftime. It was like, I made a meme of his face on Cartman's body, and it said, "Screw you guys, I'm going home." Like, literally, are you serious right now? At least Antonio Brown's was like, I was injured. I didn't want to go in a game. I was injured. Devondre Campbell was pissed off that one of the best linebackers in football, and Drake Greenlaw, came back and he was starting over him. That's what he was mad about. Drake Greenlaw was gassed. It was his first game back. His cardio wasn't there. They needed their player to go in a game they were fighting for their playoff lives. And he goes, "Nah, I'm good." I just want to check this out real quick. I'm not like I want to look it up because I'm not 100% sure. Let me see something real quick. Devondre Campbell game check. Devondre Campbell signed for $3.35 million signing bonus, and he was getting $261,666 per game. I'm good. I need to know what I need to do in life that I could just say I'm good and make $266,000.
Be athletically gifted to where rich old white men can expose your talent for their own rich benefit.
Bro, I've never seen a guy more universally destroyed on the internet than Devondre Campbell. I need to hear. Does anybody listen? Don't get it twisted real quick. Devondre Campbell was a very good player for a few years. He's not a bad football player. Brett, I just want to ask you a couple questions because he was in your locker room the last 3 years. What are your thoughts on Devondre Campbell?
Oh, he's a head case. Couldn't have happened to a nicer guy. I'm not a big Devondre Campbell fan. He's a guy that, late in his last season with us, put out a tweet saying, "It's all good. I'm just going to protect myself." And then obviously in the offseason, he made sure to thrash the, defensive scheme and organization on the way out, which is ironic considering I had my qualms about Joe Barry as a defensive coordinator. I thought he was terrible, but he was very good with the linebackers, and Devondre Campbell was an all-pro under Joe Barry. And he's going to thrash the guy who ironically made him an all-pro. I didn't understand that. But that's just who Devondre Campbell is. He's never happy. And he thinks he deserves the world. He thinks he is the guy. And he's just a crybaby. Let's be real. The man's angry because Dre Greenlaw came back, who is always going to start over him. Not only that, Dre Greenlaw in one half had a better game than what Devondre Campbell did all year, who's been a bottom 10 linebacker in football.
Yep. And
you're mad that you're getting benched because you suck? That sounds like that's a you problem.
I don't want to bring it back to what we were just talking about, but just FYI, 4th round pick of the Atlanta Falcons. It's just the stories write themselves. They write themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle, I'm not like I've. Can you compare anything to this? I don't even compare the Antonio Brown thing to this. Antonio Brown was legitimately hurt. He showed footage of himself being hurt. I'm not saying that he was right. He handled himself like a complete moron. And Antonio Brown definitely has CTE. But like, I can't even compare that to this.
Yeah, there's no real like explanation for any of this because, like you said, Dre Greenlaw is a guy known as a pretty good linebacker. Campbell was a backup, so you went there as a backup, get to start because the guy gets hurt. He comes back to a starting job, and you're mad that you're now the backup. Doesn't make a lot of sense. Like you said, he was once a Falcons pick, didn't really do much in Atlanta either. Like, it's just like you got to look in the mirror and be real with yourself. Like Devondre Campbell, you are playing on a team that had Super Bowl aspirations. Obviously, injuries and stuff hurt them this year, but clearly in his mind, he thinks he's, Patrick Willis and Ray Lewis. He thinks he's one of these guys that's like, once I'm in the game, like I'm Showtime and you can't take me out. I just wonder, like, what other team would really put up with this, knowing what he's done recently? We know some stupid team will probably bring him in and be like, oh, bring him in our building. It'll be different, blah, blah, blah. For me, this would be it. Like, he would be like blackballed from me by owners and stuff. Like, why would you want this in your locker room?
Bro, can we talk about what a G
The 49ers did that, didn't they? I mean, with what Brett told us about his history in Green Bay, it sounds like the 49ers did what you said they shouldn't have done.
Yeah, but he didn't quit and walk off a field in Green Bay. He's just an idiot. But I will say this, right? And they brought him in and paid him very little money when he was an all-pro just 3 years ago. Yeah. They paid him very little money to replace Dre Greenlaw because they knew Dre Greenlaw towards Achilles. But let me ask you guys a question real quick, and I don't mean that to sound funny or smart when I say this. Can we talk about what a G move that John Lynch pulled instead of cut? The easy move would have been to cut him. Nope. We're going to suspend you for 3 games. You're not signing on with a playoff team. And we're going to hold you on this roster until March 15th when we can cut you and save money. I love it. I love every moment of it. Good for you, John Lynch.
Why should you reward him for pulling that stunt? Like, yeah, keep him on there. Then you cut him in the offseason. Let him go out there and beg for a roster spot somewhere else.
Yeah, it's not the good look move, right? I mean, let's be honest. None of these guys, nobody on a 53-man roster in the NFL is going to look at themselves in the mirror and go, "I suck." This guy's better than me. Yeah. But at some point, or there is a point where, like, hey, it's Dre Greenlaw. Like, yeah, he's the starter. Like, the mentality should have been like, hey, I'm going to play to compete. Not, hey, I'm going to give up and walk off.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like, if you want to be better than him, then you go in the game, you do whatever you got to do. After the game, you got to go talk to the coach and be like, look, coach, man, like, what we doing here? Then
don't worry, he'll get picked up by the Raiders.
I mean, you never know. But it's just like, you want to show you're better than Greenlaw, then do it in the practice field. Give the coaches a reason to put you in over them. not just walk off, take your ball, and go home. Like, that's so stupid. I don't get it. I don't get a lot of stuff the athletes do today. This one might be right at the top of the list for me.
I mean, at least when Vontae Davis walked off the field, he retired.
Right.
Like, I can't do this anymore. I'm just not. It's not for me. I just retired.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like that. But I give him that at least. He retired.
Absolutely, and he retired in game 2, so it's not like he waited all the way till the end and then retired. He just kind of got it out of the way right away. Just, hey, I thought this was for me, but now I'm actually probably a little too old. I'm done. So the timing too definitely made it kind of a little better. Made it much better what Davis did. At least Campbell just waiting all the way till the end and going, "Oh, I'm not going to start. Oh, yeah, no, I'm out."
One of the most viral Hard Knocks moments was the moment that the Indianapolis Colts told Vontae Davis he was being traded to the Buffalo Bills.
And
you
he
guys
like,
remember that? You could see his face like, shit, Buffalo.
yeah. He was like, he goes, "Can I call my grandma?" And they were like, he goes, "Son, you can do whatever you want to. I mean, you're an adult."
Bro,
I felt bad. Like I felt bad watching it. Like, it's funny looking back, but at the time you're like, damn, like he's gonna have to move everything.
Yeah.
All right. So last big story that I want to talk about is, hey, listen. All right. So first of all, I need to lead into the story for a little bit. Okay. I just want to give you a quick lead into. I have seen on TV shows across the nation, not one, not two, not three, not four, many shows that have been, if you don't think Patrick Mahomes is the greatest quarterback in the NFL right now, you're a moron. Is he having the best season this year? Anybody in the NFL? No. But like, there are people like, like I just see the start bench cut the other day. It was Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Patrick Mahomes. And people were like benching or cutting Patrick Mahomes. That's the easiest start of all time. Now I get Rex Ryan, who I believe coached Josh Allen for a year in Buffalo. He was up in Buffalo. I understand his concept. Josh Allen's the best quarterback in the league. That's his take. That's fine. I understand that. But the media that is talking about Patrick Mahomes not being the greatest quarterback in the world because he's having an off year, I need to remind you, he's the defending Super Bowl champion. Oh, and by the way, they still have the best record in football. My bad. Forgot that part. Just leave that one out. But I wanted to lead up to that story because I wanted to say the best quarterback in football going for a three-peat rolled his ankle, has a high ankle sprain, and he's been medically cleared to play this Sunday or Saturday. And he also has a game Wednesday versus the Steelers. Texans, DeMeco Ryans, Steelers, Mike Tomlin. Guys, maybe I'm on Lonely Island myself. If I'm the Chiefs, I don't care if I'm the 1 seed. I would be okay being the 2 seed. If you're telling me I can avoid the best quarterback in the world playing against DeMeco Ryans, Will Anderson Jr., who might be the best defensive player in the league this year, TJ Watt and the Steelers, and Mike Tomlin, who are dirty, dirty players. I'm sorry, guys. You don't watch Steelers play recently? They're a dirty friggin' team. I would avoid that, having that happen within 5 days. I would sit Patrick Mahomes these next 2 weeks and try to win games with Carson Wentz. And if I can't, it's okay. It's all right. It's okay. Did the Chiefs prove? I don't know, man. Guys, I don't know their seed last year. I think they were the 3. Pretty sure they were the 3rd seed last year. They went on the road at Baltimore and won a playoff game.
Buffalo. Right.
Did they win at Buffalo last year?
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. I completely forgot about that.
Yep. They went to Baltimore and Buffalo. Won.
So I believe they can win football games going on the road.
Yeah.
Am I the only one that's nuts that thinks that Patrick Mahomes should be sitting down these next 5 days?
No, this. Nobody on this panel, nobody here should argue that Patrick Mahomes should play on a hurt ankle. So much so that I'm gonna skip my talking point and talk about how awesome Godfrey's t-shirt is. So
Oh, thank you.
best in the world. Sorry.
Yeah. So listen, the thing I like about Patrick Mahomes, yes, he's the best quarterback, no doubt about it. Josh Allen, I'm sorry, you're 1B. So I don't know
I
what
think
to
he's
say. Right?
third, maybe
You
fourth. Guys, I picked Josh Allen to win the MVP, and I'm telling you right now, he's not the MVP this year. I'm sorry. I picked it. There's nobody in this world that would like to be right more than me. I'm that guy. That's who I am. But
I think the thing I like about Patrick Mahomes is he's not flashy in a sense. He's not really like super outspoken. He's not brash, but he's got that dog in him. He wants to play. So no matter what I think or what you think, if he convinced Big Red that he could play, he's going to play. And I would have bet my top dollar on it that he was going to play this week coming up because we've seen this from him before. We were all like, "Oh yeah, his ankle's really hurt. It's really hurt. Yeah, sure." And I was joking. I was like, "He's going to play next week. I know he's going to play." And lo and behold, he's already been cleared to play. So I don't know if Brittany makes him really good chicken soup or like something's going on. He's got some kind of concoction. I don't know, but all I know is whether I want him to play or not, I knew he was going to play because that is who he is.
Agreed. Yeah, they say it's his physical trainer. His physical trainer every single time because there's this narrative out there in the media where people in the media and fans commenting all want to make comments that this is a common Patrick Mahomes thing, right? Patrick Mahomes hurts his ankles, gets all the drama going. Like, oh my God, are the Chiefs going to be able to survive without Patrick Mahomes? And then Patrick Mahomes comes in and is running around, runs for 30 yards on his sore, high ankle sprain and blah, blah, blah. Gene, I can't guarantee, but somebody I can't remember if it was anybody on this panel, but I know somebody we did a podcast with a couple of years ago in that AFC Championship against the Bengals said the same thing. Like we watched Patrick Mahomes run all over that field, and you want us to believe that was a high ankle sprain? Buffalo fans are like, this is the annual Patrick Mahomes gets hurt, gets sympathy from everybody, and then blah, blah, blah.
Maybe he has a
Jory. I think this year's different. Yes, yeah. This year's did, but the reality is that just like Godfrey said, as long as Patrick talks Andy Reid into playing, Patrick's going to play. And I don't agree with it. I think it's stupid. Kansas City doesn't need the number 1 seed. Even with this year's team, they don't. Kansas City has proven to be able to go into Baltimore, go into Buffalo, the two places that are the only two places that are a threat this year, and win.
I don't even think Baltimore can catch them. I don't even think they can catch them. So I'm not worried about that. The only team that can catch them is Buffalo. And if you don't think you can go into Buffalo and win, I don't know what to tell you. They just did it last year. Brett, yeah. Kyle, should Matt Mahomes be playing these next 2 games?
No, I don't think he should. I granted I'm already prepared that he's going to, but I absolutely think he should sit. Listen, at the end of the day, you still have a 2-game lead over Buffalo. That's the thing, 13 wins to 11. So if you're that paranoid about getting the 1 seed, you can still rest him on Sunday. And if you win, guess what? Now
you don't have to play him the rest of the year.
Yeah, at that point. At that point, just to lock up the 1 seed, you need what? 1 more win so you can sit them the next game. And if you're really that worried about Buffalo tying you on the final game, you can roll them out in week 18. But at the end of the day, when
they're 1.5 games up, Brett, they'd have to win 2 of their final 3 if Buffalo wins out.
But
Buffalo
yeah, fair enough. So, but yeah, I'm running Carson Wentz, and if you win, you run him again. And if you lose, maybe if you lose game 2. Okay, game 3, we need our closer, Patrick Mahomes, come back and win week 18 for our 1 seed. But yeah, this week I'm not starting him.
To Jory's comment of she thinks this year's different. Is she talking about the high ankle sprain? Because I'm going to tell you, Patrick Mahomes has been full participant in practice all week.
Yeah, I think she thinks this year's different as far as the Chiefs, which I kind of do too. I think that this team and what I mean by that is when you look at the left side of their line, Joe Tooney playing left tackle is not the most ideal scenario for a quarterback that has a high ankle sprain. They just signed someone. I don't know if he's going to start or not.
Hold on. Let's pump the brakes there. Joe Tooney playing tackle is just fine. Joe Tooney can play tackle, guard. Joe Tooney can do it all. Joe Tooney is not ideal playing tackle when you've paid as much money and given up as much as Kansas City has for tackles. That's what's uncalled for. Joe Tooney was signed to play guard. Joe Tooney can play tackle, and he does a damn good job of doing so. It's
not ideal because then
you're right. Yeah, no, it's not ideal because Kansas City has and paid for tackles that they need to step up and be utilized the way that they were signed to do. But Joe Tooney put Cleveland's number one pass rusher in check, and he's an interior guard. So much so that Myles Garrett had to fake an eye injury to get off the field because he was getting bullied by Joe Tooney so much. So
I don't know if he faked an eye injury.
I don't know. I don't know if anybody else saw what I saw, but Joe Tooney's hands did not touch Myles Garrett's eyeball whatsoever. So,
but what I do want to end on is this, and it seems like Kyle and Brett both feel the same way. And Kyle, I want to start with you here. Just two quick questions. And I want you to rank them as far as going forward and as far as MVP this year. And look, guys, I'm making it very clear to you. Josh Allen, to me, is the fourth best quarterback in football. Not this year. This year, I think he's second or third as far as this year. But if you don't have Joe Burrow ahead of Josh Allen, I don't know what you're watching. And I'll take it a step further. This year, Lamar Jackson should clearly be ahead of Josh Allen. Statistically, it's not close. I know you're not a Lamar Jackson fan, but what is
that one I would push back on a little bit.
Please push back.
So Burrow, absolutely. Look, I'm a big Joe Burrow guy, so I can agree with that. My thing with Lamar, and especially this season, last season, Lamar statistically was pretty good. But if you looked at him like passing stat wise, he was like 10th, 11th with a bunch of guys ahead of him. But he won MVP, and I get that. Because they talked about how like stats didn't matter and everything like that. It's just his impact, everything. This year, though, if you look at him statistically, I can make the argument, like I said, for Burrow, but he's on a losing team, so I get that. I think Josh Allen, because of the way he's kind of closing out the year, I have no problem with him winning MVP, considering I thought Josh Allen probably should have gotten it last year. So if they wanted to make it right and give it to Josh Allen, I think the way he's closing the season, he's better than Lamar. And then my biggest hit on Lamar is, if you watch Baltimore play, the most important guy to them winning is Derrick Henry. The games where they've underutilized Derrick Henry, they've lost. The games where they used him correctly, they've won. So I find it hard to give Lamar MVP if Derrick Henry is clearly the most important to you winning this season.
Just wondering, when you look at these stats, what about Josh? Listen, last year I completely agree with you. We sat on the show and I said Lamar Jackson shouldn't win MVP. But when you look at these stats, what about these stats do you think Josh Allen's doing better? Lamar Jackson this is Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, if you didn't know.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson's throwing for more passing yards, a higher percentage. He has 34 touchdown passes. We'll do total touchdowns because that makes it more fair to Josh. It's 37 to
36.
36. He has less interceptions. He has more rushing yards, so more total passing yards, more rushing yards, a higher completion percentage, like less turnovers. Like, help me understand. Oh, I mean, by the way, if we just for a second, if we could just see these two guys play against each other, then we can make that decision. Oh, wait, we did. That happened, and Lamar destroyed him.
But I also see Josh Allen has a Buffalo team fighting for a 1 seed overall. Lamar's got a Baltimore team that's in a wild card fight.
That's fair. That's
Lamar Jackson is a great quarterback. He's definitely MVP worthy. But
and so is Josh Allen.
Yeah, so is Josh Allen. But Josh Allen is benefiting from what Lamar benefited from last year in winning the MVP. And that's exactly what's happening here. And here's the thing about that. I would love to see what Josh Allen would do with all the weapons that Lamar keeps getting. And he got Khalil Shakir, Amari Cooper, who's a shell of himself, Dalton Kincaid, who's been and
Bro,
James Cook has been good.
We can't do this. We can't do this. You're wrong.
Well, because you're about to open a can. Because I was about to say the same thing about Joe Burrow. Take Jamar Chase away, and Joe Burrow is just a guy.
Oh,
I don't know. I don't know.
I
Out
don't
of
know
your
about that.
mind, bro.
Sorry.
Don't do that.
Sorry,
Don't do that.
Jamar Chase is arguably one of, if not the best wide receiver in the NFL. If you take Jamar Chase away from Joe Burrow is mediocre at best.
See, it's funny you say that because people at the beginning of this year, I heard them say to me, Jamar Chase doesn't deserve number one receiver money. That's what they would say to me. Now they're eating crow on that. And the thing about that is Joe Burrow isn't in that conversation because as much as we don't want to factor it in, wins do matter during the regular season for this MVP award. It just is when it comes to a quarterback. I mean, has there ever been a quarterback with a losing record that's won that award?
When we're talking about like when we're take away 2024, guys. When you and let's just talk about players in general. When somebody says to me, "Hey, this quarterback is this good, XYZ good," okay, fine. Take away that quarterback's number one weapon and show me what that quarterback can do.
Chase,
I think Burrow can do it.
I'd be really interested to ask Chase this question, and then I'll ask you guys to all follow up. But if you were going forward, right? Let's just say Chase was starting an NFL franchise, and there was 4 quarterbacks on the board, and you had Patrick Mahomes, who you're taking one, right? There's no doubt about it, right?
Yeah, obviously.
2, 3, 4 is Lamar, Joe Burrow, and Josh Allen. How are you drafting them? You have nothing around you. It's just you have to take a quarterback. 2, 3, 4. Please.
If I have nothing else around me,
you're building the whole team from scratch.
I'm taking Lamar Jackson. I'm taking Lamar Jackson. He's a dual threat.
So Lamar 2, who's 3?
Josh Allen,
and then Joe Burrow. I'm really interested to hear why that. And I knew you were going into a dual threat, and then I'm going to ask the rest of the panel. Just dual threat. That's it.
Yeah, absolutely. If they have no weapons outside of the ball, what can they do? Are they going to take sacks? Are they going to throw interceptions to the other guys? No, they're going to make plays with their feet. And Lamar and Josh both can do that. Joe can't.
Well, I don't think you need to make plays with your feet to be a great quarterback.
You don't need to, but...
And I think that Joe Burrow's situation, I think that as much as Jamar Chase makes Joe Burrow better, I think Joe Burrow makes Jamar Chase better also, if I'm just being completely honest with you. Jamar Chase's best year in college was with Joe Burrow, and Jamar Chase's all of his years in the pros were with Joe Burrow. It's like asking the chicken or the egg, Belichick or Brady. But Joe Burrow's made other receivers good. T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, he made him a lot of money this offseason. Mike Gesicki's having a very good season at tight end for them. Chase Brown's having a great season out of running back. This is the second running back that he's made good behind a bad offensive line. So if I was doing it, I would go Burrow, Allen, Jackson going forward. And that's where I'd be at, 2, 3, 4. Brett, Kyle, where would you be at?
I would have the same one. I'd go Burrow, Allen, Jackson. And
okay.
I know Jackson has the dual threat ability, but his weakness with his arm, I get that 1,000-fold through Burrow. Burrow will make throws that Lamar just can't make consistently. And once again, I know I come across as like a Lamar hater, but it's like I want Lamar to do well.
It's okay to be a Lamar hater.
But it's just like there are shortcomings to his game that I just don't like, and is probably part of the reason why he hasn't made it to a Super Bowl yet. Because with that same dual threat ability, he can't make it there. But Joe Burrow has been to a Super Bowl. Yes, he lost, but he's gotten there.
But to be fair, he has 2 MVPs over Josh Allen, 0. He has an AFC Championship appearance over Josh Allen not being there. I'm not saying that I had the same order you did. Yeah. I'm just playing devil's advocate.
No, I got you. Brett, if I look at Allen and Lamar, you could say that they're pretty much similar. I would take probably Josh Allen's durability with that dual threat. And I think Josh Allen makes some throws more consistently that Lamar can't. It's always going to come down to the arm with Lamar for me, why I would put him 4th in that group.
Brett, what would your 2, 3, 4 be?
For sure, number 2, I would do Joe Burrow.
Okay.
Been high on his year, even though the team is struggling. At 3, I'd probably go Lamar Jackson. Just he's very unique, one of a kind quarterback. We haven't seen mobility like this since Vic, and it'll be a while since if we see somebody as mobile as Lamar again. He's just so elusive out there. And at 4, give me Josh Allen. It's a tough choice, but yeah, I'll go Burrow, Jackson, and Allen.
Godfrey, where are you at? 2, 3, 4.
I'll just start from the bottom. Lamar 4,
Okay.
Allen 3, Burrow, and then Mahomes. For me,
Oh, Mahomes is 1. And anybody that doesn't
Yeah.
have Mahomes 1, just get off the show. Unless
Yeah,
your name's
Burrow-
Brian, just go.
Burrow, I think, is that guy. I think he can pass to. I see him spread the ball around the multiple receivers. The thing about being a dual threat quarterback, it's nice, but you're gonna have to play well when they take one of your dual threats away, right? And what I've seen, and this is I guess it stinks because Lamar's had more of a sample size here than these other guys combined, or not Mahomes, but Burrow and Allen as far as the playoffs. But I've seen Lamar, and there's this meme I can't forget about him. It's a picture of a purple Ferrari. It says Lamar in the regular season, and it's a purple of a Geo Metro in the playoffs. Now,
Okay.
his
right,
his last
let me-
playoff game wasn't bad, but
His last
I got
fight was terrible. I don't know what you watched.
he was
watched-
it was
Yeah, the AFC title game was pretty bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it was an AFC. Was it AFC the year before last year, or was it
No,
last year?
last year was
Yeah.
Okay.
in Baltimore.
Where
Yeah,
the
we
Chiefs
beat 'em
took
in
away
Baltimore.
his running lanes, and he
Yeah, if
could
you could stay
not make a
disciplined,
throw.
the Eagles did it to him recently too. If you could stay disciplined on him, he becomes one dimensional and he can't be effective. Now,
Yep.
you could say with Joe Burrow, hey, you're gonna have to pass. We know you're gonna have to pass, and he still could thread the needle in there. And I don't see that ability with Lamar.
Josh Allen's had more playoff games, more playoff losses than Lamar
Really?
Jackson. Yes.
Okay.
He's played
Surprised.
10 playoff games. He's 5-5. Lamar Jackson's 2-4. I don't think either one of them have had stellar playoff careers.
Yeah.
But
No.
also, if we're being fair, Patrick Ewing didn't have a great playoff career because he played against Michael Jordan all the time. I don't mean to say that, but when you go against Patrick Mahomes, it's just you're gonna have a bad playoff record. Sorry, guys.
Peyton
We don't.
Manning was a 500 playoff quarterback because he kept losing to Tom Brady.
Can we briefly talk about Woody Johnson? We can't miss on that, right?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. We missed that too.
Dude.
Woody Johnson, just to be clear, Woody Johnson vetoed a trade. This is a New York Times report. Vetoed a trade for Jerry Jeudy because of his Madden rating. And I don't think that report comes out if it's not accurate. Like, why would that come out? Why would that be in the New York Times if that was not accurate?
I don't think we should talk about it. I think we all 5 should just collectively laugh for 30 seconds.
I mean, listen, it's only the Jets can make it seem attractive getting traded to the Browns, right? I mean, how is that even
We're
possible?
gonna do that next
You know,
week.
it's
We're
like
top one bench one organizations.
Yeah, and he's like, you know what? It worked out for me this year. I didn't go to the Jets. I went to the Browns. It worked out for me. You know what I mean? Like,
So let's make this into a talking point really quick.
Sure.
Does that make Rodgers and does that make the criticisms against Rodgers less viable?
no, he's a piece of crap still.
Oh, he's terrible too.
He's a piece of crap. There's my quick
Well,
analysis. Grade A.
His comment
like a
with
bully.
Brian Clark show you
I know.
exactly who he is.
I wasn't talking about. I'm not talking about Aaron Rodgers the person. I'm talking about Aaron Rodgers the player.
When he had to take it
Does
outside
that
of
make the
football,
criticisms.
oh, I can't stand Aaron. I always said he was a piece of crap, and he is. And this shows that he's a piece of crap. When he had to take it outside of football to defend his actions, that shows you he wanted to distract, and he was a, oh yeah, bro, you got the vaccine. Shut up, dude. Go away.
So the next show we do, because we got to be quick, real quick, we are going to do a bottom 5 organizations in the NFL. Is that cool?
That's easy.
I'm prepared with your bottom 5 organizations in the NFL.
I got 4
Guys,
right
we
now.
got a game that's happening tonight. I need quick opinions on it. It's almost a playoff game, guys. This is and it's not what we expected it to be this late in the season. The Denver Broncos at the Los Angeles Chargers. Chargers are a 3-point favorite. It's in LA. Jim Harbaugh's done a phenomenal job with this Chargers team. Although they just last 2 weeks they lost to the Chiefs and they got the shit kicked out of them last week by the Buccaneers. Your thoughts on this football game tonight? I'll start with Kyle. We'll go around the horn. Give your thoughts, your score prediction in less than a minute.
So I think Denver's defense will do some things to stop the Chargers offensively. I think the Chargers win a tough game here in a game that, look, they get it. You could basically say the AFC playoff group is locked up because the Chargers is like the only team that's question mark. I'll go Chargers 26, Broncos 20.
Oh my God. Brett.
Yeah, make it quick. I think it should be a real fun game. You know what? Give me the Chargers. I'll take them 21-17. It'll be a real tight and interesting game.
Okay, 21-17 Chargers, 26-20 Chargers. Chase.
If this was 2020 or if this was 2012, guys, I'd be so excited. Man, this game would be so awesome. But it's not. I don't care. I love how Gene makes it sound cool because he's like, oh, it has playoff implications.
It does. They're both over exceeding expectations.
Here,
Total cheesesteak.
I know this is
give me
your
the-
division rival, Chase, but
give me the Broncos 17-14, and that's only because Sean Payton has more backbone than the other
Jim
doofus.
Harbaugh.
The other doofus that coaches that team.
Can you give me a Broncos country? Let's ride.
Broncos country, we're dead inside. That was my favorite meme that came out.
Oh man, Godfrey.
Yeah, I think the Chargers can win this. I think they're gonna be able to run the ball on them. I think this is I'm gonna have Bull take Kimani Vidal has arrived, and I think this is his breakout game. And I just think that Chargers are gonna win. I do think it could be a good game, but we'll see. Score, I'm gonna go. It's not gonna be super high scoring, but I'll go 24-20 Chargers.
I think this is gonna be an ugly football game, guys. I think that the score was a lot closer when Chase said it. I'm gonna repeat that. Like the 17-14 score that he's talked about. I think that the Chargers are missing a little bit on the offensive line. They're inactives. I think the Broncos defense is going to be eaten at the front. I'll say this though. I trust Justin Herbert more than I trust Bo Nix at this point in their career. Give me the Chargers to win a close one, 16-13. I think there's a lot of field goals. I think it's a defensive struggle. I love me some
Dicker the kicker.
McConkey. I love me some Lad McConkey. Lad McConkey's having a hell of a year for the Chargers. And I like Jim Harbaugh more than I like Sean Payton. So I'll take the Chargers 16, the Broncos 13. And any final thoughts, gentlemen? The game starts in literally 20 seconds.
That Bo Nix kid has a bright future. In 4 or 5 years, he'll be the starting, or no, I'll say 7 or 8 years. He'll be the starting quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons. There's my mic drop for the night.
Chase, I love you. Any other final thoughts, Brett?
Oh no, great show, and make sure to tune into Meaty Boys tonight at 8:00.
Love it. Kyle, any final thoughts, brother?
Yeah, just winding down the season. We'll see how these playoffs go. I'm ready for it. No Patriots, so I can just sit back and just be a fan.
He's too nice of a guy. He's chomping at the bit. He's Integrity Sports Network. Check him out. He's all over there. Great guy. Godfrey, close us out. Any final thoughts?
No, enjoy football tonight. Enjoy the ride, and check out the Meaty Boys podcast. It's not what you think. Don't judge it by its name. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. And he is part of a Scott Hall lookalike contest with that stash.
I'll say this. I'll give final thoughts because we won't see you guys until after Christmas. Merry Christmas to everybody that listens. Thank you so much to the Wire to Wire Network family. Thank you so much to everybody I get to do podcasts with and talk sports with. I love you guys. I don't know any of you guys in person outside of Godfrey, but I feel like I know you guys. I feel you guys are my friends. I met Brett one time, actually. Sorry, well, twice. One trip. But I appreciate everybody at the entire network, Integrity Sports Network, Wire to Wire Sports Podcast. And listen, I mean this. I mean this. And I hope everybody can get this really clear. There's a lot of people this Christmas season that are having their first Christmas season without a loved one, without someone. Remember them this Christmas season. Remember them because, I know that Key just lost her mother. I know that there's been losses, tragic losses all across the families for every single person that's been on this podcast and on this show. So remember all those people this Christmas season. And, that's all I got to say. Thanks for tuning in, y'all.